Hi, my name is Carl Spies, and this is Introduction to Windsurfing. My objective today is to teach you the parts of the windsurfing board, get you on the board, balancing, understanding what to do with your hands and legs so that you can actually get going underway this afternoon when you're on water. But this is the land part of this location. Isn't actually the normal location, but at least we have some water here, and so that's kind of fun. So my first question to students is, have you ever done a balance sport before? Most people will say they've skated or ridden a bicycle. If you've done any of those things, you're going to be fine getting on a windsurfing board and balancing. So everyone's going to be 100% successful at this, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So when we get going, we're going to learn the parts of the board, but even before we get on the board, we need to know something really important. And that's, where is the wind coming? Here I'm going to cut to the water. You can see the ripples coming on towards us on the water. And the other even easier way to figure out where the wind is coming from is to ask someone with a ponytail to say, hey, do your ponytail. And they automatically turn their head into the wind to do their ponytail. So you know exactly where the wind is coming from if you've ever had long hair. The wind is pretty much always going to be behind my back, coming at my back when I'm windsurfing. We'll see that on the board in a second, but we're going to want to have the board. So now we're going to go into the parts of the board. This is the windsurfing board, and it's got a front end, a bow, it's got a back end, a stern, or the rear of the board. We'll use these terms interchangeably. The real one on the water has a center board and a skeg underneath. Those are the things that help it steer through the water. Most boards have foot straps, which you don't need right now. What we are going to have on our simulator is spots that show where your feet should go on the board. So that's the board. It's pretty simple. It's actually fairly easy to stand on the simulator. Even it moves around a bit. So we're simulating the balance that it's going to have on the water. So that's the board. Coming up from the board, there's a part here, and this is what gave windsurfers patents, this universal joint. It allows the sail to be used in all sorts of different directions, the universal joint here. Then we've got the mast, the long part at the front of the board, on the front of the sail, on the windward part of the sail. Got something called an uphaul. This is what we're going to use to haul the sail up, go figure. It attaches to the boom, sometimes called a wishbone or a wish boom, and that's what we're going to have our fingers on when we get going. The sail itself is nice light material, and this is the clew of the sail, or the back of the sail, and it's held by the outhaul. So we've got an uphaul, we've got an outhaul, we've got the mast and the sail. And that's pretty much it. Windsurfers are pretty light, pretty easy to get to the beach, pretty easy to set up. And so now we're going to do our first part, which is to stand on the board. So when you're on the water, you're going to want to get on the board, you're going to want to kneel on it, get comfortable. Once you're ready, you're going to put your front foot right by the universal. Your front foot goes right by the universal, back foot goes back a bit, and then you get comfortable here. The sail is going to be like a bit of an anchor in the water. It's going to keep you steady until you're ready to stand up. You're going to bend your legs a bit, hold on to the uphaul, and then slowly, hand over hand, you're going to haul the sail up out of the water. Up and up and up, legs bent, and as you pull the sail out, it does a miraculous thing. It acts like a flagpole. With the wind at my back, this flagpole shows me exactly where the wind is going. So the sail is quite a good little bit of information as to where the wind is coming from. And the board, if you're there, the wind will be at your back and the sail will be flying like a flag. And you can go hand over hand to the uphaul and then just be here, comfortable. This is what's called our neutral position. You're going to want to balance here for quite a while in the neutral position, getting used to how the sail feels. It feels a bit heavy as you're pulling it up and there's water on it, then suddenly it gets light and it just flies here like a flag. So we spend a good amount of time once we're on the water in the neutral position. When you're on the simulator on land, I'm going to want you to also be kind of neutral here. So come on in and take a look at the hands here in the neutral position. Again, I've done the uphaul and my two hands here on the uphaul. I'm completely comfortable. I describe this as the rest position, the neutral position, the scratch your ass position, because you got a fly biting you, whatever's going on, you can just sit here and be completely at ease. The only thing that's going to mess you up in this neutral position is if you're spending all of your time like this. If you're looking at this miracle that is your feet on the board, you're going to lose your balance. You need to, and anyone who's played hockey, anyone who's figure skated or done gymnastics, anyone who's ridden a bicycle has been told, don't look at your feet, keep your eye on the horizon. So we're going to be up here in the neutral position, keeping our eye on the horizon, and that naturally helps us keep our balance. So we're sitting there, neutral position, we've got everything nice and comfortable. You're saying, Carl, I'm getting bored, what's next? Okay, so the next thing to do is to put your front hand, and the board is pointed in this direction, it means we're going to be wanting to sail this way. You're going to want to put your front hand on the mast. And now you're kind of like in the neutral position, but you've got a fair bit more control. You're actually holding on to something firm, you've got a bit more control, and you can start doing something called steering the sail. And if you lean the sail backwards, there's more wind on that side, the board's going to turn in this direction upwind. You lean the sail this way, you can see how the board is turning and the nose of the board goes downwind. Your goal is going to be to find the spot here where in the neutral position, but with your hand on the mast, the sail is exactly at 90 degrees to the board. And that means you're going to go in the direction that I'm facing here, looking at the horizon. Eventually, I'm going to start going in this direction. But right now, I'm in this still pretty comfortable position. Everyone says, oh, I'm going to fall in all the time when I'm windsurfing. Actually, I've taught people who've never fallen in. If you take these steps one at a time, you're going to be able to go. So, here we are. We're in the neutral position. And if we just start grabbing on and going, we're going to wind up wiping out. There's a real finesse way to get going on the windsurfer, and that's to bring the mast all the way beyond vertical, but all the way until the boom is horizontal. You can see the boom is horizontal. I'm actually looking through the sail at the direction that I'm going, but I'm actually not using any strength yet. I have my front hand on the mast, and the sail is still neutral. My board is pointed exactly where I want to go. And when I put two fingers here on my boom and slowly do a little bow and arrow, like an archer, straighten out the front arm, pull in a little bit with the back two fingers. If I was on the water right now, I would be moving forward. This is the position that you want to go in to get going on the windsurfer. Notice my front leg is straight, my back leg is a bit bent, and I'm going across the wind. It's really an amazing, amazing feeling. Now, if something's not quite going right, you don't like how much speed you've got, just always let go with the back two fingers. The back two fingers. This gets you right back to your neutral position. Way too often, people who've grabbed onto this with a death grip and they get too much power, they let go with their front hand and the sail winds up falling into the water. They have to go through all the work. So if you always remember to let go, just with those back two fingers, the sail will always just naturally go back to the neutral position and things will be very, very easy for you. So another view of getting going underway, we're going to bring the sail right across, mast beyond vertical, the boom all the way to horizontal, front hand on the mast, two fingers on the boom, we pull in slightly, straighten this front arm, and now we're getting going underway. So we've gone through a lot. We've gotten up on the board, we've done the hand over hand to uphaul, we've got the front hand on the mast, we've brought it across, we've done the archery to get going, and now we're sailing along. Now, how do you steer when you're sailing? Well, if you lean the sail way forward, there's a lot more pressure in your front foot, and the board starts turning downwind. If you lean the sail towards the back, there's more pressure coming through your back fingers, through to your back hand, and the board starts turning upwind. And that's how you steer. Downwind, upwind. And then if you don't like how you're going, let go with the two fingers and you're back to neutral. So now we've been going, we're almost to the other shore, we want to turn around. This is the last part of the lesson today. You're going to be going along, you've been sailing, you like what you're doing, you lean the sail way to the back, and the board will start turning up into the wind. Up into the wind, up into the wind, and then you have to walk around the front. This is called tacking. If you've ever been on a sailboat, you know this. Turn up into the wind, you tack, you're back in a neutral position. This is probably the trickiest part of windsurfing because now everything's all aligned and things get a little bit bouncy. So here, we're in the neutral position. We're going to keep leaning the sail in the direction that we want to go. Now we've turned 180 degrees. We've got our front hand on the mast. Ooh, it got a little wavy, a boat went by. We went back to the neutral position. We're thinking we're ready to go. Get the front hand on the mast. Bring it across. Look through the window, archery, and off you go in the new direction. Don't like what's happening? Let go with the last two fingers. Go back to neutral. One last tip while you're doing all of these things, whenever you feel like you're losing your balance, keep your legs a bit bent and put your hand out behind you. We call it the tennis save, and it's amazing what kind of bad balance you can correct by having that hand behind you. It's way better than trying to save it that way and staring at something else. So, here we are. We're now sailing back in the other direction and we're getting back to shore to where we started, and we're going to be in really, really good shape. One last thing about windsurfing are the directions you can go in. With the wind at my back, the windsurfer can go in all of these directions. It can't go straight upwind. So our goal is to be going back and forth, maybe even upwind a little bit, because if you just go straight downwind, it makes it really hard to tack all the way back. So our goal is going to be going back and forth, and that's why I want you to be able to recreate all these steps on land so that you can do it out on the water and be one of those students who actually comes back not just with a smile on their face, but dry as well. So that's my introduction to windsurfing lesson. Please let me know if you have any questions. We'll go through it, and then I'll get each of you on the simulator. Thanks.